And welcome, good afternoon to you, and welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana here on Metro TV. We are live across all our social media platforms on Facebook and YouTube at Metro TV Ghana, on Twitter and on Instagram at Metro TV GH. I am Bright Nanakwesi Amini, and this afternoon we have our guest in the studio, Musa Dankwa from Global Info Analytics. What exactly is his new release about? We'll let you know after this quick thing. So with us here on the show, we are back after this. Right, welcome back here on Good Afternoon Ghana, and I'm still Bryce Nanakwesi Amenin. Like I told you earlier before the break, my guest is already here in the studio. Musa K. Dankwa is my guest from Global Info Analytics, and today we are talking about a national opinion poll on governance and elections. And I'm excited to find out what exactly his new findings are. Released on the 6th of October 2023, just about 4 days ago. So what exactly is it here to tell us this afternoon? Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to Good Afternoon Ghana, as always.
Good afternoon.
Great to have you here.
Good to be here too.
As always.
Sure.
So tell me, you frequently, this is one of your polls for the year. Released, like I stated over there, National Opinion Poll Governance and Elections, updated 6th October 2023, presented by Musa K. Dankwa, the pollster. What exactly do you have in there?
We have the governance questions, which revolves around how the president is doing, how Ghanaians view the country,
right,
and on myriad of issues on corruption, on performance of the government, and many other things. And then we zoomed in to look at key issues for voters for 2024. And then we looked at briefly MPP's primaries from voters' perspective, and then the general election 2024 with Alan now going as independent. What impact is he having on the race?
So let's begin.
Now, we'll start always with methodology and our approach. Because it is a scientific poll, we want people to see how transparent the data is, and you can follow the full steps and see whether you'll get a different result or you'll get the same thing. So here, we are indicating that we interviewed 6,423 voters across 82 constituencies in all the 16 regions. Our margin of error is 1.58%, 99% confidence interval. The sample frame is EC registered for 2020. We are yet to lay hands on the new one. When that comes out, we'll amend the sample frame. We picked 30% of the constituencies in all the regions, 30%. So if Ashanti region, we'll pick 30% of that, Accra, 30% of that, and then spread the sample assigned to every region to these selected constituencies in proportion of their weight. We also using what we call likely voters model, which means that voters who said they will not vote, their views were discounted. So we want to know those who are actually going to vote in the December 2024 elections. We also present some of the reports weighted or unweighted, depending upon what we want to look at. And then when we're weighting, we use weighting using a political party affiliation as the weight. At the moment, our average shows us that MPP is 35% of all voters, NDC 33%, floating voters 20%, other parties around 8%, and then those who did not disclose the party affiliation roughly 5%. This is a cross-sectional poll. It means that we're not interviewing the same people. We go back. So these are people that we pick randomly from the street, and we are comparing the results based on cross-sectional analysis. If you want to do demography analysis, that would have a higher margin of error than the overall polling margin of error. Interviews were conducted between 21st September and 1st October 2023. So this is the methodology we use to arrive at the conclusions that we have in the poll.
Before you go on, a quick one. You mentioned the fact that some persons said have already decided they're not going to be voting. That's quite interesting. Isn't it too early, or you think it's about time?
I think some may not vote. Not everybody will vote, for sure.
What are their reasons? What exactly?
We don't ask them the reason why they're not voting. That's not why we are there. You're not voting, okay, they will take your view, we go.
Right.
But it is important that the political parties know which regions have higher proportion of people who are not voting. So they can reach out to them with your message, and then maybe you can galvanize them. They may change their mind between now and the elections.
Right.
We expect this number to change, but parties must know where in this country most people are not likely to vote.
Votes.
Yes.
Interesting. Continue.
Now, the demography of the sample, 53% of the respondents were male and 47% were female. Age group, those who are just above 17 years and 18 is 1%, 18 to 24 is 15%, 25 to 34, 29%, 35 to 44 years, 31%, 45 to 54, 16%, 55 to 64, 6%, and above 64, 2% of the sample. This is the educational level of the people we interviewed. Junior high, 15%, senior high, 38%, tertiary, 30%, and those without formal education, 17%. Then we have the, currently what are they doing? 3% are pensioners, 17% are students or apprentices, 30% are unemployed, and 51% are employed. In terms of religion, 4% no religion, 4% other religions, 4% equally around traditional religion, Islam 23%, and Christians 65%. Ethnic groups, we have the Akans being 45%, Moli Dagbani 12%, 11% are other tribes or other ethnic groups, Ewes 11%, Gangadangbe 7%, the Guans 6%, Grushi 3%, the Gruma 3%, and Mande 1%. In terms of party affiliation of the respondents, 3% belongs to smaller parties. Those who did not disclose their party affiliation, 11%. Floating voters, 19% here. NDC, 30%. MPP, 37%. So the sample is heavily MPP, but we'll correct that using our average. In terms of the first-time voters, 33% of them were MPP, 24% NDC, 23% floating voters. Other parties, 4%, and those who did not disclose, 15%. So these are the demography of the respondents we interviewed. Now, on the question of direction of the country, we asked voters whether they believe that Ghana is headed in the right direction or wrong direction. Now, you see the numbers here. In July, those who didn't have opinion was 11%. Now it's dropped to 7%. Those who said right direction was 26%. Now it's dropped to 23%. Those who said wrong direction, it was 63% in July. Now 70%. People should watch these poll numbers because it has a direct effect on whether the MPP can win power in 2024.
Or not.
Now, we looked at the party affiliation of those who were saying right or wrong direction. If you look at MPP, 46% of them said Ghana is headed in the right direction. Another 46 said no, wrong direction. And 8% have no opinion. So MPP is split about where the country is headed.
Right.
When you come to NDC, 7% said right direction. 90% said wrong direction. 3% said they have no opinion. When we come to floating voters, 8% said right direction, 84% said wrong direction, and 8% said they have no opinion. And in other parties, it is 8% right direction, 78% wrong direction, and 14% no opinion. And then this group, those who did not disclose their party affiliation, 17% said right direction, 73% wrong direction, and 10% have no opinion. Now, you can see that with the exception of MPP, which is divided a bit,
right,
every other demographic of this party affiliation said that the country is headed in the wrong direction. That has to change.
And interestingly, I can see the NDC is just only less a percentage away from the floating voters and that of the other parties. Did you get reasons why they were either chosen wrong or right?
No, you see, we don't ask those direct questions, but we have means of finding out why they are choosing this way by doing some triangulation in the poll. Once you ask them, this is an open question survey. It is a closed-ended survey. So when you are doing close-ended survey, you don't have a chance to ask them why.
Why?
Unless you have means of asking them indirectly through other means, which we have, but it's not here at the moment.
Right.
So you can see that floating voters, NDC, other parties, those who do not disclose are all on the same page. Wrong direction.
It's quite interesting. Say that again. Those who are saying that it's in the right direction.
It's very small in relation to NDC, floating voters, other parties, and those who do not disclose. But those who are saying wrong direction, it is huge. 90% for NDC, 84 for floating voters, 78 for other parties.
That's an overwhelming figure.
Yes, very, very overwhelming. And to be able to win the election, these figures must be trending in the right direction. Now, with regards to the approval of the president, in April, he was on 34%, now on 32%, a drop of 2%.
Fine.
Those who disapprove his performance has gone up from 60% to 63%. And those who have no opinion have dropped from 6% to 5%. This chart moves in the same direction as the country's direction. If people say we're heading in the wrong direction, the president gets higher disapproval. When they say right direction is improving, then he gets a bump in the poll. The first chart and the second chart correlates directly.
Right. I mean, it's obvious because once you're seeing that the country is not headed in the right direction, then that means you're not approving of the president's
the person leading the country suffer consequently.
Right.
Here again, we broke the numbers into political party affiliations. So you can see where MPP stands and the rest of the country. If you look at the MPP sympathizers, 60% approve of the work Nat'l is doing as president.
And like you said, these are sympathizers.
Sympathizers, yes, not members. These people who vote MPP in elections. 37% said they disapprove of the way he's doing his job, of MPP sympathizers. 3% have no opinion.
And let's be clear that these 37% are members of the MPP.
Yes, they are what we call MPP sympathizers, those who vote MPP regularly in elections. When it comes to those who vote NDC regularly in the elections, only 12% are saying that he is doing well, approve of his performance. 85% disapprove. Not unusual for opposition party sympathizers. 3% have no opinion. Now, when it comes to floating voter, this is where it gets worrying for the government. These are the ones, people who decide who becomes the president eventually. 17% said right direction. 77% said, 77 disapprove of the president. 17 approve of his performance. And those who belong to other smaller parties, 11% approve and 77 disapprove, in the same line as the floating voters. And those who refuse to tell us which party they normally vote for, it is 69% disapproval and 22% approval. This is not good.
And I think anyone actually watching us right now might understand, because we know floating voters usually decide who becomes the president or who rules the country in the next elections. And here we have only 70% of people who are floating voters agreeing with what exactly the country is doing or what the president's work is. And 77% of them say they don't disagree with it. No. That's a lot for government to actually consume.
Then we looked at the government as a whole's performance, the whole government, not Nat'l as a person. This is the entire MPP government. Party or government. 55% of them said they are performing poorly or very poor. Average 12%, very good or good 27%, and excellent 6%. So more than half of voters believe that the government is not doing well.
More than half. Here your sample.
Yes.
55% of them believe government is not doing well. Not just the president, but the entire institution is not doing well. And excellence is, there is 6% of excellence.
6% excellent.
Where do they fall? Is it a combination of...
no, it's a combination of all voters, including MPP, NDC, floating voters, and everybody.
That is 6% who believe that the government is doing well.
Excellent, yes.
Right.
Now, let's look at the party affiliation of those who were giving us that opinion. Now, if you take MPP, 14% said excellent. 46% said very good or good. 11% said average, and 29% said poor or very poor. This is just among MPP.
29%
Yes.
of MP sympathizers said,
Almost a third of them.
almost a third says the government is
not
performing poorly.
Yes. When you come to NDC, 1% said they are doing excellent. 14% said they are doing very good or good. 9% said they are doing average. And very poor and poor, 76%. That's not unusual for opposition sympathizers. Now you come to floating voters, the key block. 2%.
Why do you say it's unusual?
It's not unusual for opposition
It's
to
not.
oppose the government.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Now, the key here is floating voters. 2% said they are doing excellent. 15% very good or good. 15% said average. 68% said poor or very poor. That is the worrying sign.
And funny enough, even if you are supposed to combine or add the average and very good, you still cannot, and even the excellent, you still cannot get to 68%.
It's about 45% if you add all of them, assuming that those are positive.
That is just few percentage ahead of the half of that 68.
Yes.
Right.
And other parties, look at it. Look, it's unanimous across every voting demography except MPP members. Now, we did ask them questions about their standard of living, whether in the last 12 months it has improved or worsened or unchanged or they didn't have opinion. Look at the numbers. Those who said it has improved, it was 19% in July, declined by 1% to 18% now. Decline in people who say that their standard of living has improved over the last 12 months. For those who said this worsened, it was 45% before, it's now gone up to 47%. People are saying that it's getting worse. And then for those who said it's unchanged, it's gone up from 29% to 30%. And those who didn't have opinion has dropped from 7% to 5%. So by and large, people are saying that things are getting tough.
Getting worse, yeah. 47%.
Then we asked them, how optimistic are they for the next 12 months? We assess the future, the past. Now looking into the future, are they optimistic that it will improve in the next 12 months? No opinion has jumped from 16% to 27%. And then those who said yes has improved slightly, or has improved from 27% to 36%. And then those who said no dropped from 57% to 37%. They have moved from no to no opinion.
No opinion. So we can see that, I mean, the figures that have
shifted from there
is with the no opinion.
Largely went into no opinion and some went into yes.
But the yes is quite interesting. Optimism for improvement in standard of living in the next 12 months.
It means probably they are looking into the future that maybe last 12 months is bad.
Things will get better.
Going forward, we think things will get better. It's almost at the same level as no, which is a good thing, a good trending for the government.
I would have loved to hear their reasons. I would have loved to hear their reasons.
That's somebody's job.
Exactly. Exactly.
We can't do everything at a go. So then on corruption, we asked them, what do they think about the state of corruption in Ghana today? Is it improving, stay the same, or getting worse? No opinion has dropped from 7% to 5%. Improving has improved from 15 to 18%.
Does that mean government is fighting corruption? Is that what it means?
No, they are saying they're not fighting. This is their overall perception of corruption currently.
Right.
So the perception is improving from 15 to 18%. Those who said the same has remained flat, and almost same flat for those who are saying it's getting worse. So there has been slight improvement. Those who move from no opinion have come to say that it's improving.
I want to get that right. Improving in the sense that corruption is getting worse.
No, it's improving. If corruption is a negative phenomena, if it's improving, it means there is some positive to that situation. People are feeling that, okay, it's going down. That is what they are saying about corruption. Just 2% improvement or 3% improvement from the previous month.
So that means 18% of your research shows that people actually believe corruption is improving.
It's improving.
Right. And the same is 25.
Yes. And then when we ask them whether the government is doing enough to fight corruption, you can say it is improving. At the same time, we're not doing enough to fight it. So this is what people are saying. Those who said they don't have opinion has dropped from 15% to 10%. Those who said, yes, government is doing enough to fight corruption has remained flat, no change.
Right.
And those who said, no, the government is not doing enough to fight corruption is moved from 62 to 67%.
So it could be that even the improvement that we saw in the other slide could be individual improvement and not necessarily because government is fighting it. Like as you stated here, like that's actually gone up saying no, government is not really fighting
you see,
it.
Corruption can improve on its own if people behave. But then to fight it, it needs government to fight it.
Interference, yeah.
So those are not directly linked.
Connected.
Yes.
Right.
And then we asked them about the confidence in the IGP and the Ghana Police Service with regards to the infamous police tape.
What am I excited about this?
So we asked them whether they believe that the Ghana Police Service will do a good job in 2020 elections. 15% said they have no opinion whether they will do a good job or a bad job. 39% said no, they won't do a good job. And 49% said they believe, yes, they can do a good job. Nearly half of respondents said the police will do a good job in 2024 elections management.
I would have been excited to at least get a half, at least 51%, to say yes, they'll do a good job. That's loss of trust in the police service, and this is scary.
No, this is the police service.
Yes.
So it is not bad, nearly half, so they have to do more to improve it. I think they should be in the 60s or 70s.
And I'm saying that at least, even if it was around 51%, it would have been a bit okay, but
yes.
49%.
There's a quite chunk of people who are saying they don't have opinion, they're not quite sure. So maybe over time, or when they see what the police is doing towards the election, these minds could change.
Right. Okay.
And then we singled out the IGP as a person to see whether they have confidence in him as an IGP in the wake of the parliamentary inquiry into what was happening in the police service with regard to the infamous Buginabu tape. 61% of them said they have confidence in the IGP. 61%. 28% did not have confidence in the IGP. 11% have no opinion. So overwhelmingly, he has confidence of the people.
Let me play the devil's advocate here this afternoon. Is it the first time you are conducting such on the IGP?
This is the first time.
First time.
Yes.
I would have loved to compare now and what
this is the first time. So we will keep this as a regular feature in our polls.
So as we speak now, 61% of your research says they have confidence in the IGP.
Yes.
28 says no confidence at all. I mean, straightforward, there's no confidence. And 11% says no opinion. They decide not to speak on what they believe are. Okay, their beliefs are right.
And then we did ask about confidence in the EC as well. How confident are you with the EC? 49% said they have confidence in the EC. 41% have no confidence in the EC. 10% have no opinion.
49 confidence.
Less than half of voters.
A percent to it being a half. Wow. Okay. All right.
So
and this is confidence in the Electoral Commission.
Yes. And then we look at the party affiliation of those who are saying confidence and no confidence. And this is where there's a revelation along party lines.
Revelation?
Yes.
Okay.
We can see that 70% of MPP supporters have confidence in the EC.
70% of people from the MPP?
Yes.
Right.
But remember, nationally, 49% of them have confidence in the
But this is just members of the MPP. But
yes,
like want to put them.
And then 22% don't have confidence in the EC. When you come to the NDC, 34% have confidence, 58% no confidence. With regard to floating voters, 40 have confidence in the EC, and another 48 have no confidence in the EC. When it comes to other party supporters, it is 37% confidence and 43% no confidence. And then those who did not disclose their party affiliation, they have 43% confident and 33% no confidence. So you can see like a bit of, with the exception of MPP, the rest are just below. Yeah. And it tells you what people normally say, that when a party is in government, the people tend to agree with the EC. When they're in the opposition, they are against the EC. So this is the manifestation of that. If we keep this over time, then we can prove that hypothesis correct or wrong.
You as a researcher, as a poster, were you shocked by the result from the NDC on this blog?
No.
34%?
No. It's even higher. So it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, because I was actually thinking it was going to be around 2 or 1%.
Yeah, so
but I'm seeing 34
so
here.
It's not bad. It's not bad from the NDC.
Okay.
So maybe EC needs to do a little bit more, and then they can go up overall.
Catch up. Primaries and 2024 during elections.
Yes.
So So this is where you're going to talk about the MPP.
This is where we talk about elections and the between MPPs and also the general election.
Right.
So the first part is the governance part. We look at so many issues around the country, and then here we are zooming down to the primaries for 2024, which comes off November 4th, and then beyond that, we have December elections 2020.
So already we know that Alan Kojichomantin has his own movement.
Yes.
They are moving for change. He's now out of the MPP party. He's doing his own thing. We also know that, so they are left with just about 4. We know the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is there. We know Kennedy Agyapong is also there. We know Adainimo is also in there. And one gentleman, Free Akoto, the former Greek minister, is also in there as well. Now there are 4. I'll be interested to see who is stopping what. I mean, 4th November, just a few weeks or a few days
away.
Yes.
And it's not clear yet.
It's still not clear.
Even within the general voters, if you ask them to queue up to elect someone for MPP, they are equally not certain yet.
But do we know at least 2 people who are leading? Do you know at least 2?
Yes. We'll see that.
Right.
Now, before we head into that, we asked voters what are their top 3 election issues that they will look at in electing a president. Before you elect someone as a president, what are the things that you will take into account? What are the things that bother you as far as your life is concerned in this country? Economy tops with 65%.
Is that obvious? Obviously. Obviously.
Followed by jobs, 60%. Education, 42%. Corruption, 41%. Healthcare, 24%. Roads, 22%. Petroleum prices, 14%. Taxes, 12%. Security, 8%. Ethnicity, 4%. Water, 4%. Sanitation, 4%. Party member, 3%. Other factors, 3%. And 1% said religion would be one of the things they will consider.
So we have the party member being the die-hard fans of the parties.
Yes.
No matter what.
But if you look at these people who are voting purely on party lines, it's just 3%.
Yes.
And those who are voting on a religion basis is 1%. And those who are voting ethnicity is 4%.
Can we say that now the Ghanaian voter is now descending? Can we say that? Because if we're talking about economy, we've recorded lots of protests and lots of complaints from almost every single sector about what they are going through. And based on this, people are complaining or willing to vote for who they believe in based on how they are feeling, either in their pocket or generally the economy.
Yeah, I mean, these are the top issues. But the most worrying thing is that we gave them 3 choices. Give us 3 reasons. And among those top 3, some people were mentioning ethnicity, some were mentioning religion.
That's sad, right?
Yes. That's what, it's not like we give them a long list to choose from. Only top 3. And they gave us religion, ethnicity, and party membership.
So the top 3 included economy, religion, and ethnicity?
No, yes. So we have all the list here.
Right.
But you can pick only 3. And some people, in choosing the 3, they added ethnicity to it. Some added religion, and some added party membership.
That is interesting.
Oh, yes.
I thought we've gone past ethnicity and religion and all that.
We have generational divide. The younger voters may not be particularly worried about ethnicity, religion, and party membership. But we still have people who are 60 and above voters, 55 voters. Those older generation voters, they are more conservatives.
So it's all about who is bringing what home. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so now let's look at the MPP primaries in the eyes of the general voters, not MPP delegates. These people don't elect flag bearers. We were just asking them their views as to who they would prefer to lead MPP if they were given a chance to vote to elect one.
Say that again, let's clear the air. Let them know that this is not delegates.
This is not delegate. This is when we ask Ghanaians that if you were given the chance to go and elect someone for MPP on November 4th, who would you vote for?
Right.
So you assume that you are a delegate. In reality, you are not.
At least this will give them clarity of what the people want.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. Now here we are. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, excellence, 44%. Kennedy Agyapong, 35%.
That is quite
That is
close.
huge. Undecided, 16%. Dr. Usu Afriakuto, 2%. Adainimo, 2%. So even now, among Ghanaians, there's no clear winner, with 16% saying that they are undecided.
So let me again play devil's advocate. Now, can we say that the undecided would have been people who would have called out the name of Alan Martin if he was still part of the contest?
No, you can't say that. These are people, they are saying that they are undecided. But it is very likely that at this stage of the race, you've heard the argument, you've heard the messages. This number should be far lower. But it is not.
It's not.
So it is a worrying sign that some people are hiding their true feeling, even among general voters.
I mean, regardless of the percentage gotten by Dr. Mombaumia, he's still not even in tops.
No, he's not
undecided.
He's not there yet. He's leading by about 9%.
Now decided 16%. 16%. So you can
16%.
go for any of them.
So these guys could tilt the race into any direction if they were voting to elect.
If they were.
If they were voting to elect.
And that would be an indication for the MPP to know that these are the people that they want to vote for, they want to vote for.
We'll see in the next coming delegate poll. We'll see what the numbers are. Now, let's look at this particular graph. It's very important. It puts you to understand the figures better. When it comes to MPP members alone, 62% of them want Bawumia, which is a good number.
So forgive me, but these are people from the MPP that you spoke to.
Yeah, those who answered the question we saw earlier.
Right.
When we looked at their party affiliations, this is their party affiliation.
Okay.
Bawumia gets 62% of MPP support. Ken, 32%. When you come to NDC, 31% of NDC people want Bawumia, 38% wants
Why do we have 31 person from the NDC wanting Bawumia?
No,
and 38 wanting
if
them?
you were to elect someone for see, there are people who want the parties to elect good candidates.
Not necessarily because of the party and all that affiliations.
No. So they think that Bawumia should lead MPP.
And not because they feel he's
there are those who will be mischievous. Whether they think maybe this person is weak, we want him so we can
I was
beat
coming
him.
to that. Isn't it because these persons might think Bawumia might be a weak contest for
It's a mixture of
Dr.
both.
Mahama?
So you can discount the views of NDC voters in case they are mischievous. Then look at the floating voters. 29% want Bawumia, 45% want Kennedy. 22% said they were
45 won Kennedy Japan.
Yes. And that is where the trouble for Bawumia is.
That is another serious part of the research.
Yes.
Where we know that floating voters normally or usually
So if he scaled this hurdle, he could face a big problem in the general election among floating voters.
So that means even if Dr. Bawumia should win these primaries to lead the MPP into the elections, he might face a lot of
I think we'll see that down the line.
issues, yes.
So this is where the race stands at the moment in the eyes of general voters. Now, we look at the race in the swing regions. Swing regions here, we're talking about Central region, Greater Accra, Western region, and we've added Northeast to that list.
Making it 4.
Making it 4. In the swing regions, it is almost tied. 39 for Kennedy, 38 for Bawumia, 2 for Adainimo, and 2 for Dr. Usu Afriye.
Adainimo, my friend.
19% undecided. So as you can see, even in the swing regions, things are tied.
But it looks like these two gentlemen at the bottom are really off the race.
No, definitely. I mean, these guys will not play a role on November 4th. It's a straight fight between these two candidates. And I don't believe there will be runoff. There won't be runoff.
So what you're saying, that you don't think these two gentlemen are Adainimo and...
No, they won't pull enough to pull the race into runoff. So if Bawumia wins, to be one touch. If Ken wins, to be one touch.
Right. And we still have an undecided figure there.
16%, even among...
That's 19%.
19% among the central or the swing regions.
Central.
Yes. So you could see that it's a hot race for the MPP primaries. Now we're looking at the general election 2024.
I can see you checking your time. I know.
The
time is speeding. It's already 40 minutes past the hour 2 p.m.
Yes. Now, when it comes to general election 2024, there was a big news about Alan going independent.
Yes.
Assuming the butterfly. Now we asked voters whether they believe that Alan's breakaway and resignation would affect MPP in 2024. 46% of voters said yes, Alan breaking away will affect MPP in 2024. Overwhelmingly, yes. 34% said no, it won't affect MPP, and 20% have no opinion. So you can see that people are feeling that Alan breakaway would have impact on MPP's chances in 2024. Now, we did head-to-head, the general election scenario for the people that we know they've declared their intention to run.
Right.
His Excellency Mahama has been elected as a flag bearer for NDC. Baumia is likely to be one of the contenders for the MPP. It could either be Baumia or Kennedy. We don't know yet. So we are running two scenarios. Alan Chiramatin as independent, and the rest of the people who are vying for the same position. Dr. Ankra, independent. Ayariga, we have Ayariga as one, and we have Akbalu, and also Reverend Andrews, Gum. When we asked them if elections were held today, when we were speaking to them in the field, between 21st September and 1st October, who would you vote for? 48.3% of the respondents said they will vote for John Dramani Mahama.
48%, 48.3%.
28% said they would vote for Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. 11.3% said they would vote for Alan Chiramatin. 5.4% undecided. Someone else, not these guys, 3.7%. Reverend Kwabna Andrew, 1.8%. Asan Ayariga, 0.9%. Dr. Sam Ankra, 0.4%. Kofi Akpalu, 0.3%.
Doctor, I'm surprised Akpalu is at the bottom of that.
Sam Ankra is doing well in Ashanti region.
Oh, so Ashanti is where he's giving him the lift?
Yes.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking, since he just announced this.
And Gum as well.
So Gumtu is having the backing from the Ashanti region?
Yes.
Oh, Akpalu should be doing more.
Now, when we looked at the swing regions that we classified earlier, in the context of the national election, John Mahama is on 47%, Baumia 29%, Alan 11%. The other guy is 3%, someone else 3%, and undecided 7%.
And these figures are coming from the swing regions, four swing regions?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And John Mahama is still topping that chart there? Right.
Now, we asked voters, the person they were voting for, what reasons informed their choice? A man of his own, 11% of people said they want to elect somebody who is a man of his own.
What does that mean?
Not to be controlled by somebody behind. We have allegations that, people are saying that if Baumia wins, it means Nat'l will be in charge. So we want people to give
These are speculations.
Speculation, yes. Voters say that in the field.
You get people saying that?
Yes. And then 14% said they want a man with integrity. 15% said someone who can fight corruption. 17% somebody who can transform the country. 21% somebody who can better manage the economy. And 21% competence.
So let me take you back to the man of his own, where you used Dr. Baumia as an example. You think that narrative is also affecting his chances?
Yes.
The fact that people believe if he wins?
It does, especially when people don't see the person as doing well in the polls. Once the person is suffering in the poll, that tends to affect you if you are linked to him at the hip. That has been his problem, one of the problems we've identified for Dr. Mahmoud Baumia.
Right.
And then let's look at those reasons and who they were choosing. For those who said competence, 49% of them chose John Mahama. 30% chose Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, and 10% chose Alan Chiramatin. For those who said somebody who can better manage the economy, 50% of them chose Mahama, 29% chose Bawumia, and 10% chose Alan. For those who said can fight corruption, 43% chose Mahama, 33% Bawumia, and 12% Alan Chiramatin. A man of his own, 43% Mahama, 30% Bawumia, Alan 14%. Integrity, 43% for Mahama, 34% for Bawumia, and 11% for Alan Chiramatin. And someone who can transform the country, 49% Mahama, 28% Bawumia, and 11% Alan Chiramatin. So you can see that on all the key issues, Mahama dominates. So if you see him leading in the polls, these were the reasons why he is leading in the polls, without asking directly.
So competence is scores 49%, better manager of the economy is scores 50%, can fight corruption is scores 43%, a man of his own 43%, integrity 43%, can transform the country 49%. And we have DMB, Dr. Bawumia getting 30% with competence, 29% with better manager of the economy, can fight corruption 33%. Man of his own, he had 30%. And integrity 34%, 28% is can. So many believe he can't transform the economy. That's just written there.
Yeah, it can't transform.
Because it's really 28% is less.
If transformation becomes the election issue, he will be behind.
But if people are complaining about the economy, then transformation becomes the issue for elections. Am I right?
Definitely.
Because per what you saw in the other slide, we saw people saying that they are going to vote for somebody when it comes to why they will vote is about the economy. I mean, they want to see the economy thrive so that they'll be able to get money and jobs and all that. And it goes back to being able to transform the country to make sure that there's all that happening.
He needs to work on these issues. He needs to look at the polling numbers and see what he can do to address those polling numbers.
Alan Chiramatin is stuck with the 11s and the 10s and the...
He's just entered the race. Let's see what happens going forward.
Okay.
Now, let's look at the party affiliation of people who were voting to elect the president. For those who are voting for John Mahama, he gets 11% of MPP people, MPP, blue. So Mahama is getting 11% of MPP supporters. Bawumia gets 65% of MPP. Alan gets 15% of MPP.
Oh, he still has some support from the MPP. Right?
Yes,
right.
His support is coming from MPP. And then when you come to NDC, 91% of them are voting for John Mahama.
Right.
4% are voting for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and 2% are voting for Alan. When you come to floating voters, I'm not going to focus on these floating voters. Floating voters, 53% are voting for Mahama. Bawumia is getting 16%. Alan is getting 14%. So Alan is almost at par with Bawumia among floating voters at this stage of the race. Remember, we saw that he was not doing well against Kennedy among floating voters.
Yeah.
It begins to show here. So he needs to work on that. Now, when you come to the ethnic blocs, who are they voting for?
I'd like to see what Ashanti region is saying.
Ashanti region
and Bawumia, yes.
Okay, this is not region. This is the Akans. Akans are all over the place. These ethnic groups. 34% of Akans are voting for John Mahama. 39% are voting for Mahmoud Bawumia. 14% of Akans are voting for Alan Chiramatin. When you come to the Guans, 39 for Mahama, 38 for Bawumia, almost square there, and 14 for Alan.
Right.
The Gan Adang base, 56% for Mahama, 21 for Bawumia, and 11 for Alan. Among the Evers, we have 68 for Mahama, 16 for Bawumia, and 17% for Alan Chiramatin. Among the Moli Dagbani group, a critical group that Bawumia must win, Mahama 64%, Bawumia 23%, no good at all, and 5% for Alan Chiramatin. Among the Gruma, Mahama 51, Bawumia 14, Alan 14. Grushi 49, Mahama, 30% Bawumia, 9% Alan. The Monday group 48 for Mahama, 26 for Bawumia, and 14% for Alan. And other groups, Mahama 15%, Bawumia 30%, and Allen 10%. Now, if you look at the Christian or the faith groups, Christians, 43% of them are voting for John Mahama. 35% are voting for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 12% are voting for Allen. And 6% are undecided, the big numbers. When it comes to the Muslims or the Islamic faith, 59% of them are voting for Mahama. 24% are voting for Bawumia, and 7% are voting for Alan Chermatin. So Mahama has advantage among the major religious groups from the sample.
You know what? Let me let you hold on to this. We have to go for a very quick break. It's getting interesting, but our time is almost done. You're going to go for a very quick break. I'm still here with Musa Dankwa from Global Info Analytics on his new research work on governance and elections. When we return from this break, a few seconds or a few minutes, we'll be out of here. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still good afternoon, Ghana. Here with me, Bryce Nanakwasiamani and Musa K. Dankwa still with us from Global Info Analytics. We're talking about governance and elections be conducted by him and his outfit. So let's quickly go to it and see what exactly happened with Kennedy. Right.
In that race, Mahama is 46.5%. He has dropped when Kennedy comes into the race.
Interesting.
Kennedy, 29.6%. Alan, still the same, 11.3%. Undecided, 7.5%. Someone else, 3.2%. Kwabena Andrews, 1%. He's dropped. And Hassan Erga, 0.4%. Akbalu, 0.3%. And Dr. Sam, 0.3%. So you can see that Kennedy was getting some of Mahama's numbers and from Gum as well. Gum lost out when Kennedy came into the race. In the swing regions, Mahama, 46%. Kennedy, 27%. Allen, 13%, 9% undecided. Now, if you look at Kennedy, Mahama on religious ground, Mahama 42%, Kennedy 34%, Allen 12%. Among the Muslims, Mahama now goes up to 61% from 59%. Ken drops compared to Bawumia 20%, Allen 7%. Now, we quickly did break the 8.
This should be our sign out.
Our sign like right. This. So the break the 8, we asked people whether they believe that the MPP can break the 8 or will not break the 8. Nothing has changed compared to July. 27.1% said yes, they can break the 8. Now it is 27.3%. Just 0.2% increase. Among those who said no, it is 54.4%, is now gone to 54.9%. Marginal increase 0.5%. And those who have no opinion was 18.5%, is now 17.5%. Slight drop. So basically, voters haven't shifted in their opinion when it comes to break the 8. 55% almost of Ghanaians think that MPP will not break the 8.
Right, and this is all for October. And I've been here with Musa K. Dankwa of Global Info Analytics. He's been telling us about all his work done for the month of October concerning governance and elections when it comes to the MPP primaries and even 2024 general elections and all that. Thank you so much for watching the show here. I am Bryce Nanakwasiamani. Have a good afternoon.